Welcome to Books and Things with Tom. And it's always my pleasure to introduce my guests. This is the best part of the evening, except talking to them and introducing them to you. Tonight, I'm going to introduce you to a local mystery writer, Rose Young. And I invite you to watch the trailer on her newest book, which will explain the book better than I can.
Hello, I'm Rose Young, author of Roses, Wine, and Murder. Welcome to a mystery adventure with Roxanne and Georgie as they try to untangle the murder of wealthy wine connoisseur Mitch Stockman, owner of the Vino Verde wine bar. This murder has joined the wailing city streets of New London to the posh vineyards by Long Island Sound, where tons of history, gardens, fine wine, and food pairings delight. Yet in this case, death disturbs all tranquility. It's dangerous, puzzling, yet often comical, as these two friends attempt to find Mitch's killer. Roxanne, who is a sweet and sensible gardening expert, and Georgie, a flamboyant, fashion-forward wine aficionado, soon discover their lives actually depend on catching this killer. As the duo haphazardly weave their way deep into trouble, New London's handsome Detective Dan Morrison and Roxanne's husband, Fire Chief Sampson, diligently try to unravel the twisting, turning fiasco that Georgie and Roxanne are intensely embroiled.
Now you've seen the trailer, now you got to read the book. And this is a very good book.
Thank you, Tom.
And especially for the local area, because we know New London and Groton and Mystic and everything. And you go through all the different parts, and I'm there.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out where the wine place is.
Aha.
Welcome, Rose.
Thank you, Tom.
And I'm
Thanks for
glad you're
having me.
here.
Thank you.
Very good book, very well written.
Thank you.
Your knowledge of wine, it's a good thing you don't drink.
I know. I had to do a lot of research to read a lot of books on wine and visit a lot of the vineyards here in Connecticut. There's quite a few in southeast Connecticut.
Yeah.
The 3 in Stonington alone, and then Mogul Sierra in Ledyard. So I got to interview some of the servers, and they were funny because they're like, look at her, she's taking notes. Everybody else is drinking around me.
Yeah. You wouldn't think that grapes grew that well here in Connecticut.
I
but
know.
Apparently there's something in the soil or the air that makes them good.
Yes.
And they say it's one of the best in the country. And which
right.
I'm not a wine connoisseur, so I have no idea.
No, I rely on the experts too, yeah.
But you do have a little expertise in the plant business.
Absolutely, yeah. My background is a landscape garden designer since 1989. So I use the horticulture knowledge that I have. And what was fun for me was to do the research and find out more about viticulture, grape growing. And the vineyards are just beautiful places to visit even if you don't drink, you know?
I understand that is because it's people doing it all the time. I've been to the one in Stonington. It's gorgeous, that old hangar. It used to be an airport.
Yeah, saltwater
And-
farms, yeah.
Saltwater Farms. And it's beautiful in there. I've been to Jonathan Edwards.
Yes.
And but they're very nice. And you must have had a ball going
I
around
did.
visiting them all.
I did. The research was a blast. It was going on an adventure. I
Yeah.
needed to learn because I have my detective, Dan Morrison, investigating a murder. And he has to go vineyard hopping with his assistant detective to interview the vintners and vineyard owners who have done business with the gentleman that has died. And so he brings us to Jonathan Edwards and to Saltwater Farms and Stonington Vineyards in the book. So I get to describe them, and we learn a little bit about each one.
Yeah, and you were just down the street from my house in Stonington.
That's right, yes, yeah.
Well, I think it's great. I bet you had fun going around doing this.
Oh, it was a blast, yeah.
And the two characters that you have in that book are
Roxanne,
just fantastic.
Thank you, thank you. Roxanne is a sweet and sensible gardening expert, so they say write what you know, so of course I instilled my knowledge into her, and a friend of mine let me volunteer with her for a day at Columbus Circle Garden in New London. The New London Beautification Committee takes care of the little city gardens. So I volunteered for a day and I worked with her, and it was then that I started realizing, ooh, this could be a good place for a murder. And I took it from there,
And Georgie's a lovely guy.
He's wonderful. His character. He's a 29-year-old wine aficionado, and he's fashion forward and flamboyant. And him and Roxanne are two characters that get into a madcap adventure because they're trying to help the detective solve who murdered Georgie's boss, and they only get more into trouble.
And Georgie's a perfect character to fit in with her because a regular guy wouldn't be able to do that.
I think you're right.
It just wouldn't fit.
Yes, yes. And he loves hosting the wine dinners at the place that he manages, which is called the Vino Verde Wine Bar. And I actually did, it's on Bank Street. It doesn't exist for real, but I took it from a location that is a very old stone granite building on Bank Street that I had been able to go inside and tour. And at the time, there was a wine business in that building, and the downstairs was their wine cellar. And so that was the image that I had in my mind for the location.
Yeah, because I'm reading this, I'm trying to think, where is this place? And I see different buildings that it could be in. And I didn't think of anything like that. It's a great book. If you want to read a good book, this is it. Roses, Wine, and Murder. And coincidentally, her name is Rose.
Yes,
So tell us a little more about the book. I think you got to read a section of it.
I did a lot of research, and one of my characters, because I felt like learning history of the area and incorporating my characters in with the history made the story more interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
So one of my characters, his name is Captain Matthew Griswold. And of course, the Griswolds have been here since the mid-1600s in Connecticut. So this is how I introduce him. From his helm on the Sea Jet, Captain Matthew Griswold gave the order to release the high-speed ferry from the dock. He blew the deep-toned horn, letting passengers know they were about to cast off. Simultaneously, a working cargo train slowly passed Union Station, which was close to the shipping docks. A long train whistle responded to the high-speed Sea Jet's horn. Woo, woo, the conductor waved out his window. Captain Griswold sounded back another deep-toned response and waved. Griswold loved the great outdoors and loved his job. Before landing this position 8 years ago, he had retired from 22 years in the Coast Guard. Seafaring history was long in his family. He carried within a wistful boyhood memory of when he and his dad climbed the 166 steps of the Groton Monument, an obelisk near his family's namesake, Fort Griswold on the riverside in Groton. From atop the 135-foot viewing windows, his young boy's eyes peered out and sighted his first love, sailing ships. It was then he also felt the call of the sea and learned of his maritime lineage. His grandfather teased him and said the mermaids wooed the Griswold men, but his family's nautical disposition was more like sea kelp, with deep water roots that grew naturally in salt water. Since 1639, the Griswold family were some of the first settlers, seamen, and whalers in southern Connecticut. Matthew Griswold IV was voted in as governor in 1785 and promoted Thanksgiving as an official holiday to carry on the Pilgrim tradition of giving thanks. The Griswolds' colonial pursuits were liberty in the young America and financial prosperity as landowners, mariners, and boat builders. Their heritage stood as strong as a mast on their famous merchant ships, the Black X Line.
Wow. That was another thing that each page the same, you kept taking us to different parts of the town
Yes.
and different parts of the city, and I'm thinking, I've been there.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and it's a visual in your mind because you know exactly where it is. So you did a very good job.
Thank you, yeah.
Very, very good.
I really enjoyed incorporating all these local spots that a lot of people know, and then,
Muddy Waters.
yeah, Muddy Waters Cafe, right.
Yeah,
That's favorite place of Roxanne and Georgie to grab a
Yeah.
coffee. And then Thames River Greenery on State Street is another location in the book where Detective Dan interviews the owners, because come to find out, them having a wine and spirit shop and a cigar lounge, well, some things have gone on there that I can't disclose. But it's fun to tour around, and when I did that, I got to find out more history and more information and talk to the people who would tell me some stories. I interviewed even a couple of firemen to add to the storyline, and it was really fun. Yeah.
It is. It's fun to read because, like I said, it's not true, but you know that most of the descriptions and everything are true.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And even the food that they served at the
Yes.
Georgie.
Yes. Yes. And we make sure to mention Stonington scallops.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Bumps to scallops.
Yes. Yes.
I had him on a show one time. It's fascinating
Oh,
how
yeah.
to get him. But there was so much in there that you really kind of plugged everything.
I did. It's because it's what interested me, and I love murder mysteries. I mean, since I was little, I was reading murder mysteries, and the most recent author that I like is Dan Brown, because it's fast-paced, and he includes a lot of history and architecture in his stories. And I
yeah.
thought, I'd like to write a mystery maybe with the history, the architecture, and I tried to keep it a good pace so that you keep moving along. And
I took it to bed with me.
yeah.
And I got to finish reading this because very few books do I take to bed because you can't concentrate on them.
Yeah.
But yours is one of those you couldn't put down.
Oh, that's great. Well, I know that you like history too,
Yes.
so it kind of keeps that interest there too.
Yeah.
I like to learn when I'm reading,
Yeah. That's part of it. And you like learning about the wines and the foods, and I'm thinking, I really don't have to learn this because I know I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, but it's just fun to hear about,
But
know.
it is.
And it enhances Georgie's character
Yeah.
because he's entertaining these guests at a wine dinner, and you're getting to see his character kind of come forward.
You did a good job with him.
Oh, thank you, thank
And
you.
I kept thinking of this guy bouncing around out there and trying to get stuff done and scared to death.
He's scared, and yet he has a positive attitude, but yet when he gets scared, he's kind of out of control a little bit.
Threw him over the boat.
He is a reminder of when I went to design school. I went to design school in Boston, and a lot of the men that were in my class were like Georgie. And so I'm able to kind of incorporate, my friends from school into the book. Yeah.
That's cool. I can't answer this question. I got to ask afterwards.
Okay.
I just am impressed on it. Now, where can we buy this book?
It's available on Amazon, print and ebook.
Okay.
And then also it's available at Thames River Greenery on State Street. They have it for sale. You can walk in and buy it. And there's another location in Uncasville called Classic Country Furniture. They have it for sale. But I'm just in the beginning stages of getting it in all the local bookstores and so on. So eventually it'll be hopefully everywhere.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't put it in Muddy Waters.
Actually, I'm going to be setting up a little book signing there.
It's Barry, isn't it?
Barry and
Yeah.
Susie, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Barry used to be in the New London Lions Club.
Uh-huh, yeah,
That's how I know him.
yeah. great people. And
Yeah.
they were thrilled that I mentioned Muddy Waters in the book. I had asked their permission, yeah.
Bank Square Books and Mystic.
Yes, of course, I've got to approach them. I haven't
Yeah.
talked to them yet. I'm just in the beginning because I've just got it printed, yeah.
Talk to Annie. Tell you one of our members
Okay, I will.
of SEC Kappa.
Great,
And Annie's a nice lady.
yeah,
Very nice.
okay, good.
And I've had my books in there since day one about.
Great,
And she's a book person.
yes.
Yeah,
And it's such a
I'm s-
nice store.
She's got a double store now, and she's got another store in
Yes,
Westerly.
and I've been to some of their author talks
Yeah.
upstairs there. Very
Yeah,
nice.
she does it well.
Yeah, yeah,
And so good. Good luck with that.
yeah.
I was just going to say something else I forgot now.
One of the, a couple of authors who write local history, I read their books to help me understand, like New London. And Eric Lehman, he wrote The Burning of New London, which came out maybe a year and a half ago. And he was at Bank Square Books, and I saw him give a talk there. So I was thrilled to get him to sign my book. Because I learned a real lot about Benedict Arnold, Burning New London, and of
Yeah.
course I incorporated just a little bit of that history in my book too. Another book, history book I read was, it's called Griswold Point by Whit Griswold, and he is one of the ancestors of the Griswold family, and it's a very, very good book as well, yeah. So I read a lot in order to write.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it gives you ideas of which way you want to go.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the ladies we had on wrote the one of Connecticut. Mm-hmm. I think it was one of Connecticut.
Okay.
She was a witch.
Oh,
And
wow.
they hung her.
Oh.
The first one ever in Connecticut, in Windsor.
Okay.
And very interesting book. And she does the same thing. She takes little bits of history and passes them on through.
Yep.
And I could see her traveling through the Hartford and areas and the different areas that she was in, and I've been there and know it.
Yep.
And
It's fun when you recognize a place. You
it
know?
is. It is.
Yeah.
Another one had something about the Dennison family. She was related, and I know a lot of
yeah.
the Dennisons out of Mystic. And
Yes.
Anything. I love things like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
And even if you don't know, Jim Littlefield wrote that one about the slave keeper's wife. Mm-hmm. Have you read that?
No, I haven't read it, but I did watch your talk with him.
Great book.
Yeah.
And although I didn't recognize any of the places he went,
Yeah.
I did remember some of the features of the slavery and
Yeah.
things that they did, and so you kind of put it all together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to be able to, you got to be able to tickle people's brains.
Yes. And you know the local history, anything that he incorporated in it, you can make that relationship, you know?
Yeah.
Another piece that I put in was about the Yale-Harvard Regatta.
Oh,
If you'd
yes.
like, I'll read a little piece
Yes,
about
do that.
Okay. This is Detective Morrison is at Riverside Park on the New London side,
Yeah.
and he's investigating a murder that occurred there. Pacing the crumbling pavement, Morrison considered the abandoned area in the old bathhouse. It was a derelict and forsaken building covered in graffiti and vines. He recalled the once-upon-a-time stories of when families gathered here, picnicking and swimming in the Thames River. Crowds from as far away as New York would offload from the trains that ran along the shoreline. Now the tracks were unused and blocked from the rusted-out ramps, and a 6-foot chain-link fence barred today's visitors from accessing the water. Morrison was hard-pressed to imagine how this location was one of the yearly outlooks for the famous Yale-Harvard regattas. They had started in 1878. The popular attraction was the competition and the buff, athletic men racing their crew boats. A huge grandstand was erected to seat 3,000 fans on the Thames, and an overwhelming crowd of 25,000 showed up. Over the years, the crowd grew so large that notably in 1925, an estimated 100,000 attended the race, including 2 packed observation trains of 32 cars. On that day, they witnessed Yale roaring from behind, upstream on the Thames, breaking a record of 20.26. While Morrison waited for the coroner, he noted the only thing lurching forward at Riverside Park were the overgrown weeds and the time on his clock, counting 2 murders in 3 days.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. And there's the Yale Boathouse in Gales Ferry.
Yes,
Have you been there?
I have not been there.
Yes, just a little. If you think it'd be something fancy, it's nothing.
I know when you hear about how big an event it was back
Yeah.
then, but they didn't have TV or digital devices
No.
either.
But they still race up and down there.
Yes.
And the boathouse is still there.
Yes.
And the kids break into it. There's
I
nothing
know.
there.
I know. It's just not the big event that it once was. And to think 100,000
Yeah.
people came, it's just
Yeah.
amazing. And the train cars packed with people to view from the train.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not a big deal anymore. But it's
Yeah.
still, it does attract some people and it's fun.
It's fun to imagine that happened here and it was that big a deal, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was so much going on. And it's gone.
I know.
And unless somebody finds out about it and writes about it, like I wrote about the 50s in Mystic, and
Yeah.
and I've had so many people say, "How did you know my life?"
Ah.
Because it was the same. One guy wrote to me from Florida. He said, "I don't know you, and you don't know me. How did you know what I did every day?"
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I thought, because it was the 50s, and everybody did the same thing.
Uh-huh.
You know, regardless of how old you were, or how like.
Yeah.
And that's what you do is you try to get some of that back in there.
Yes.
Now you got another book.
The next book for this, following this one, is going to be called Roses, Art, and Murder. And so I'm going to be delving into the fine art world. And it's going to be out of New London, Hygienic Art Gallery, and around, and then also Mystic.
Ooh.
And it will actually move as well and include Boston. So there's a connection, a triangular connection between New London, Mystic, and Boston that I make in the story.
Oh, wow.
And it involves fine art, yeah.
And how far is that coming?
I have 50 chapters outlined.
Wow.
And, but I've written maybe only a handful of chapters. So I'm on my way, let's say that.
Well, I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
I've got, I have 3 books, maybe 4 books going right now.
Wow, at the same time?
Well, because I sit down, I think of something,
Oh, yes.
and then I'll go back to the other one. And
Yeah.
so whichever one's done first.
Yes, that's good,
And
Tom.
probably none of them get done. But I have, now I'm trying to do a follow-up on my one that I did about my son. Mm-hmm. And there's another one I'm trying to do about the 50s, but it'd be like the 60s or 70s.
Yes, yeah.
Which, I was married then, I don't really remember too much.
But you know, whatever is interesting to you in the moment, it strikes you, it's like, oh, let me fill that in.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're like as writers. We've
Exactly.
always got our research notes and, you know, we're writing
Yeah.
things down.
Yeah, because I'll type something up and I'll call my lady friend and I'll say, listen to this. She says, what are you going to do with this? I don't know.
It'll go into a book someday.
Someday, somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think I think writing is so very interesting. And with our group, there's so many writers in there.
Yeah.
And people who don't follow this have no idea how many authors are around here. They've
Oh,
got
yes.
a ton of authors.
Yes, we do, yes. And in fact, I think it's next Saturday on March 10th. There's the Author Fest is at the New London Library, and I'm going to be there, and I think several other authors from our group might be joining in at the Author Fest. I think it's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the New London Library, yeah. So you can meet me there and get your book signed if
And get it personalized.
that's right.
And you won't be unhappy.
Thanks, Tom.
But they got about 3 minutes. It's just a great book. It really is. I can't say enough. I just think it was.
Oh, thank you.
I was very impressed with it.
Thank you.
We got some good writers.
We do have good writers at our group, yes, yes.
Do you know we have a library?
No, where is the library?
I knew that. See, that's my fault. Patty Brooks.
She has the library at her house?
Yes.
Okay.
She has probably 20, 30 books.
So I need to donate my book to her library.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's not, well, probably not enough people know about it, and we don't mention it enough.
Yeah.
But we do have a library. Every author donates a book, but you can't borrow any books.
Yeah.
In order to borrow a book, you have to pay $10.
Yeah.
And that way, if the book gets ruined, the author gets the $10 back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so to borrow, it's $10. To just put a book in, it's free. And I've read a few of them. Mm-hmm. And we've got to get that out a little more because it's.
Yeah.
I think we should all read each other's books.
Yes, that'd be nice. Yes.
Just to find out what the other person writes like.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. On Friday the 13th in April, which is, Friday the 13th is good for a murder mystery.
Yeah.
Thames River Greenery is doing a wine tasting from 5 to 7, and I'm going to be there doing a reading of my book. So if anybody is interested in coming to that, you can have a free wine tasting from 5 to 7, and then I'll be reading my book, and we'll show the video.
Will Georgie be there?
I would like to find Georgie. I need to start interviewing for Georgie.
I have the perfect guy, but he'd be too good.
Yeah, I think people would like the characters in my book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Roxanne seems like a darling.
Yeah. And her husband is Fire Chief Sampson, and they have a real sweet relationship between each other. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be a very understanding person.
Yeah, I think so, with putting up with her.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to put in here?
Let's see if I've got anything else. I think that we've covered pretty much everything. I guess I could mention that last week I gave a fiction writing techniques class at the New London Library. So if there's anybody else who has their local library or a book writing group, I can share what I learned, creative and practical writing techniques.
If you can't remember her name and address up there, write to me.
That's
I'll be happy to contact you and let people know.
Great.
I hope you enjoyed today's mystery author. If there's a local author that you know of that haven't been on my show, let me know because I'll be happy to invite them. The idea is to get the local author's name and what they're writing about out there so that people will go out and buy their book. And I'm not trying to push the book, but it's a good book. But we have to help each other out. And local authors are we don't make money. We make a little bit, and that's about it. This is the beginning of March, March 1st. Oh, my God, it's coming in like a lamb. It's going to be tonight. It's going to be like a lion. The weather's going to really change tonight, so stay home. Good things come in March. We got spring equinox, daylight savings time, spring baseball. I watched the Yankees this afternoon, NASCAR racing, March Madness, St. Patrick's Day, spring weather, Lent, Easter Sunday, and the Easter Bunny. That's a lot.
That's nice.
I was sitting there writing this down. I said, oh, my God. So we got a busy month, and hopefully the weather will be good for it. Don't forget, Friday night, the Park Duck VFW will be holding its fish and chips, and they will do that every Friday night during Lent from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Let me know how you like the shows. Email me at santostom@comcast.net. Also, please check my Facebook page, Books and Things with Tom, for updates and programs that are going on here. Watch past shows on YouTube. Go to sec-tv.org, and there's a little button there that you press, and you can see all the shows that SEC puts up there, and all of my shows. I've got 100 of them up there. And special thanks to Frank and Frank at SEC TV for helping me host this show. By the way, we operate on donations, and if you'd like, you could drop some more, and we'd appreciate it. Thank you for watching. You should be reading Roses, Wine, and Murder. And couple up with a good book. The nights are still a little kind of cool, and so you might want to cuddle up with a nice book. Be kind, smile, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.